So hi all, welcome to another lab session. This is lab 7. In this lab we will see how to create a visual calculation in Power BI desktop. We will see how to create and edit visual calculations, and we will use some of the visual functions to create comparison metrics between each fiscal year. Okay. So for starting purposes, we have already downloaded this zip file and I have kept this open at my end. Let us see, our first task is to create a bar chart visual. Okay. So let us go to our Power BI and let's follow these steps. Okay. So first and foremost, what we have to do, in the data pane from the date table, drag the year field into the y-axis and sales and cost field from the sales table into the x-axis. Okay. So let us go ahead. Let us create this clustered bar chart. Okay. And in this chart, we will have to open the date. From the date, we have to go ahead and place the year. And from the sales, we will place the cost in the x-axis and the sales in the x-axis as well. Okay. And if I go here to the more options, I will sort the axis on the basis of year, and I will choose this as sort ascending. So it will sort it in ascending order. Okay. Now here what I will do, okay, for this particular visual, I will go ahead and I will create some visual calculations. Okay. So I will go and I will choose custom. Okay. Now what this visual calculations will do is that it is not going to create any kind of measure. It is not going to add any step into the particular table, but it will rather add all these calculations, all these steps within the visual itself. Okay. So this is at the visual level, we must understand. Okay. So this I will name this as profit. Okay. And this one will be sum of sales minus sum of cost. If I do this, you see the profit comes out like this. Okay. If I go to the instruction, you will see that this is what it's mentioned here. Okay. If I go down, profit equals to sum of sales minus sum of cost. Next, what we have to do, we have to enter one more new visual calculation in which we will select the versus previous. Okay, and then we will find the versus previous for the profit. So we will go here, we'll click on new visual calculation and we will see versus previous. Okay, so what versus previous will do, you see the profit, right? If I mention here profit, right, this is profit and this is also profit. What this means is the current profit value minus the previous profit value. So for the first one, it will come 1,31,362.37. So this minus, since there is no previous value, so it will be 0. So it will be just as it is. For the second one, it will be 12,11,549 minus 1,31,362.37. Okay, whatever the result comes will be stored here. Okay, that is what versus previous means. If I hit on enter, so this is what will come. Okay. And if I again go back to the instruction sheet, it is telling us to calculate the running sum, and it is also telling us to calculate the moving average. And for running sum, it is saying that calculates the sum of values adding the current value to the preceding value. So we see the total of current and previous years. Okay. So if I go ahead and I will do the same, the running sum, and this is going to be for profit. So this will be your 12,11,547 plus 1,31,362, and accordingly it will start adding every value. Okay, this plus this plus this, like that. If I go ahead and hit on enter, you will see this is the value that will come. Okay, and I will also do the same for moving average. Okay, for moving average, the profit, this is going to be the profit, and the window size will be 2 in this particular case. Okay, so it just represents that I will be just taking the average of 2 of this value. Okay, so for this one it will be just as it is. For this one it will be the average value of this one and the first value and the second value. For the second value, for the third value, it will be the average value of the second value and the third value. Okay, it is like that. So if I go ahead, if I hit on enter, you will see that it is like that. Okay. So, or you can also consider like it is like 12,11,547 plus 1,31,362. If you just take the average of these two, you will see that it comes out to be 6,71,000. And then again, if you take the average of these two, that is 12,11,547 minus 3,43,415, if you take the average of these two, you will see it will come out to this much. Okay, so this is what moving average does. Okay, if I go ahead and if I see this is what moving average calculates an average of a set of values in a given window by dividing the sum of values by the size of the window. By setting the window size to 2, we are calculating the average of 2 consecutive values. In this example, the values are yearly profit, so we see the moving average for the fiscal year 2019, which is the average of profit for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Okay, and this is how the chart will look like. And now from the visibility section, right, from this particular visual, we will hide these columns: the sum of costs, the sum of sales, and the profit, till we get this. Okay, and then now what we are going to do, we also are going to move the running sum to the tooltips. Okay, we will move this to tooltips, and the moving average as well, I will move it to tooltips, till we are only left with running sum, versus previous. Okay, if I go ahead, you will see that this lab tells us to do this. Okay, and we end up with this. Now you have a bar chart with the following values: sum of sales, sum of cost, profit, and profit versus previous, with tooltips for profit running sum and profit moving average. Okay, now let us create a matrix visual. This task is particularly over. Okay, now what we will do, we will create a page 2. Okay, let's create a page 2. Let's go back to the report. Okay, and this is done. So one thing which we have learnt is that we can now create visual calculations, and the visual calculations that we are creating, it is only on this top of this particular visual, so it is at the visual level, and whatever calculations we have made, it is not added into the sales table or the date table. As you can see, it is not added anywhere. Okay, so this is a very useful feature where we can add calculations in the visual itself without putting burden on the without putting burden on the data set. Okay, so let us go ahead, let us create one more new page. Okay, and in this particular page, we'll go ahead and we will see we will create a matrix visual. Okay, we will add a matrix visual and add the following fields, that is product category, date, year, and sales. Okay, so let's add a matrix, and in this we will go to product category. Okay, then we will have the dates, so it is date of year, that is date of year, and then we have the sales of sales. Sales of sales, let's do here. Okay, now let me increase this. Yes, and also for visibility purpose, let me also increase the size. Let me increase this to 20, and let me increase the column headers to 20 as well, and the row headers to 20 as well. Okay, and let me expand this. Okay, now this is much better. So now with this, what we will do, we will go ahead with the matrix selected, select new visual calculation in the ribbon, and in the visual calculation edit window, type and save the following calculation. Okay, so now what we will do, we will go ahead and at the home, we will enter this new visual calculation, versus first. So what versus first will do, okay, it will go ahead and it will, like in the first case, what it will do, it will whatever parameter, so in this case the parameter is sum of sales, so let us go ahead and type that sum of sales minus the first of the sum of sales. Okay, so what this will do, for bikes it will be it will be 1,50,000 for bikes it will be this particular value minus 36,830. Okay, so for every value that we are getting, right, it will subtract the first value. Every value will be subtracted with 36,830. That is what this value will give us. Okay, if I go ahead and if I yes, so this is what versus first will do. Okay, versus first is added everywhere. Okay, in the sum of sales section, if you can just see. So this is 36,830 minus 36,830, that will give you the value of 0. This figure minus 36,830 will give you this much. Okay, and similarly all these values are reflected here. Okay, so that's it for this one. Okay, let's go to the second calculation, that is select the first versus field in the values area and update your calculation by adding the row value for the axis parameter to the first. Okay, so this versus first will be minus first of sum of sales comma rows. Okay, and replace the rows with columns and observe the calculation. Now compare the sales amount per category against the first fiscal year. Okay, so let us go ahead and let's do this. Okay, so first what we will do, let us go ahead and let us make the change here. Okay, so this will be first, I will have to mention this as rows. Okay, and if I hit on enter, you see not much has changed, because by default whatever calculations we have done is with respect to rows only. Okay, what rows mean is that if we have to calculate the versus first, right, it will be for the same column. Okay, for the same fiscal year 2019 sum of sales. Okay, for the same year it will be going ahead and it will calculate the versus first for the same column. Okay, so it is 1 lakh, it is this particular amount minus 36,830. Okay, it is 66,493 minus 36,830. Okay, so it is going to do the calculation row wise here. Okay, first row, second row, third row, fourth row for the same column. Okay, for the same column, that is what row means. But if I change this to, if I go ahead and if I change this to columns, you see exactly the same or the opposite will happen. Okay, what will happen is it will do the calculation for a particular row. It will try to go ahead and do a calculation for all the columns for all the fiscal year 2018, 2019, 2020. Okay, so it will be for versus first, all these values will become 0. Okay, because it is 36,830 minus 36,830, it is this particular value minus this particular value again, so it will become 0. It is 66,493 minus 66,493, so it becomes 0. And for this particular fiscal year 2019, for this versus first, this will be this value, that is 1,25,690 minus 36,830. So whatever calculations we were earlier doing for a particular column, right, we have to do it for all the columns but for a single row. Okay, so it is row wise in this particular case, but for all the columns. So all the columns will indicate that it is going to go ahead and do this versus first calculation column wise. Okay, for a single row, and rows it will do the calculation row wise for a single column. Okay, that is, if you just go ahead and if you look at the IntelliSense, right, it is giving this direction, the arrow is this way. If you just see, right, that itself indicates. So if I go ahead and if I hit an enter, you will see what will happen. See, all these values, they have become 0. Okay, if I go back to the report, you will see all these values, they have become 0. Okay, and if you just look at the versus first for FY fiscal year 2019, okay, it is going to be this value 1,25,690 minus 36,830, which will result in this value. You can just try it out, you will see that it will work in this way only. Okay, so this is for this particular task. Okay, this is for the matrix. Notice how the versus first column for the total sales returns 0 instead of difference against the first fiscal year. Total sales is on a different hierarchical level than the yearly sums, and therefore consider the first column of that particular level. Okay, this is what it means, what I just explained. Now in the third page, we will now create a line chart visual. Okay, so let us create the third page. Let us go ahead, let's create this. Okay, and in this we will create a line chart visual. So this is line chart, let's add this chart. Okay, and what we have to add in the x-axis, we will add the year and the quarter. Okay, and the y-axis we will add the sales. So let's go ahead and add the year first and then the quarter, and this sales will go to the y-axis. So if I go ahead expand this, you will see that this is like this. Okay, if I go ahead, and now what I have to do, I have to do some visual calculation. So I have to do running sum. Okay, and for the sum of sales, so let us go ahead and let us calculate the running sum. This will be sum of sales. Let me add here, and you will see that the running sum is now added. Okay, so what running sum will do, okay, you see for all the values, right, for all the quarter values for the same fiscal year, okay, different values are coming up, right, but running sum, what it will do for quarter 2, it will be quarter 1 plus quarter 2 value that has come up here. For quarter 3, it will be quarter 2 plus quarter 3 plus quarter 1 value. Okay, so we are adding all the previous values. Okay, the same explanation which I have given for the first visual, right? And if we go down, it is the same. It is saying update running sum to restart every new fiscal year. Okay, so if I go ahead, if I want to restart everything, okay, now for example, now what is happening here, right? What is happening here, okay, this is kind of a different kind of calculation. Okay, if I want to calculate for the fiscal year 2019 quarter 1, right, then what I really want is that the value should reset. Okay, it should start from the actual value, that is, it should start from this particular value. Okay, it should not give me the value for the previous years. What currently it is right now doing, fiscal year 2019 quarter 1 is giving me the value for quarter 4 of the previous fiscal year and the previous quarters plus the quarter 1 of the fiscal year 2019. So it is giving me the sum of values for all this, and that's why it is coming up over here. But I just don't want this. I want it to reset every time when a new fiscal year arrives. So what we are going to do, this running sum which we have, right, this running sum which we have, I'm just going to give a comma and I'm just going to select the highest parent. Okay, highest parent, what this will do, it is going to go ahead, and if you just see highest parent, right, highest parent means right now in the visualization, which is the parent, the year is the parent, quarter is the one in the hierarchy which is lower than that, right, year is the parent right now. So highest parent wise, it is going to calculate the running sum. That's it, that's what it means, right? So year wise, it is just saying that year wise you have to go ahead and calculate the running sum. That's it. Okay, if I go ahead, if I hit on this commit, you will see this is what has happened. Okay, it has started from this particular value, again it has increased, and then it has again reset in the for the fiscal year 2020, and then again it is working as expected like a running sum. Okay, so if I go back and if I see, this is the way how it is. Okay, so with these 3 visuals we have completed this lab session. I hope you really enjoyed this visual. Okay, I hope you really enjoyed this lab session. If you did, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel, and please don't forget to press the bell icon for notification. And if you have any questions or any queries, please leave it in the comment section. Please give me reviews like how you really found this lab session up till now. Okay, and if you really found it insightful, then please go ahead and share it to people so that many people can go ahead and watch this. Okay, thank you.